Well, it was one of those scenes that when you read the script, you're a little fearful of having, I guess.
I thought of
Uh,
that too. As I was like, I wonder if they looked on the scene and they looked at the script and they're like, "Whoa, where is this going?"
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "Whoa, this is not exactly what I was expecting her dream sequence to be about," um, which was interesting. No, I remember when we did an episode, and I don't remember the name of the episode, but I was being uh, kind of possessed by this vampire-ish lady, and she was sucking my brainwaves as I
Oh,
was writing.
oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and in that episode, it was originally written with a scene like that, where instead of her, the two of us sitting on the couch while I'm writing and she's sucking my brainwaves, we were in bed together. And I remember reading that and thinking, "Oh, whoa, this is a love scene for Jake," which they were actually smart enough to undo because it was an underage kind of thing. But it wasn't probably appropriate at the time. But
No.
I remember reading it, thinking, "Oh, what do I have to do? What's going to be required of me? Am I going to be, you know, actually doing this love scene in the bed? How do they film it? What are you wearing? You know, those kinds of things." And I'm sure when I saw Nana with her, her hand over her chest, I was thinking to myself just about what the conditions of the set were like. I'm sure it was a closed set. Um, that sometimes they make you wear these see-through kinds of things that cover you but don't cover you.
Did you ever have to wear one of those?
I never had to wear one of those, and thankfully they rewrote that episode.
Mm.
I was actually nervous about it, because it was a big deal for me. And then they changed the script, but in that case, she's already an adult, so it was not a big deal as much.
Yeah, but
You
we
know,
certainly haven't seen much of anything like that with the Kira character. It almost felt, I don't want to say forced, but it certainly
it looked forced.
it kind of came out of nowhere. I was like,
it looked
oh,
it looked
because
like that. It looked
at
Yeah, it
first she's
looked
just
like that.
talking to Dax and that's cool,
Yeah,
whatever, he's fine. Suddenly she's just naked and like this and holding
yeah. And
her
then he
stuff.
comes up behind her, like the way he comes up behind her looks
He
like
did come up
a
behind
soap on the rope jailhouse type of moment.
yes. I don't get the reference. What does that mean?
Well, I'll explain it to you off the air,
Off
but
the air.
but yes, it was a little awkward the way he kind of crept into the scene
Yeah.
behind her, with his shirt off. I don't know what else was off, but it just looked a little bit like, okay, is this where we're going? Because I had no idea. The freedom fighter obviously had been locked. He had been locked away on that camp too long. I think he said he was 10 years on that Bajoran work camp.
Oh no,
Where the
this was Barile, Vedic Barile, not the
Oh,
other
it's,
guy.
oh, it's not the other guy. No, okay.
No,
So
he's
then,
like he's like a religious guy,
right,
like
he's the
Vedic
religious
men.
one. Right, right, right. No, well, obviously they don't have rules against that in their religion because
Yeah.
he mentioned to her that she was in his dream when he saw the orb, right?
He's like, so
So,
nowadays he'd be like texting, he'd be like, I had a dream about you. Did you dream about me?
I'll meet you at the orb around 8:30.
What was your dream about? I don't know. What was your dream about first?
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, nothing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that
unless
was
yours was about something.
exactly. Exactly. And I wonder in his dream, was he the one standing in the front and she came up behind him? You know,
Guys,
you
we are
never know.
just getting started.
You never know. Sorry. I mean, you brought it up, so we had to get right into it.
But it is true that it did seem kind of out of place. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for it and these writers get paid the big bucks for that. But it did kind of take me by surprise. Where I was like, oh, did I miss something? Why is she suddenly, holding her boobs? And then
Yeah.
the guy, and then, so that was already kind of out there. And then suddenly there's also a naked dude. And then he just kind of looms up behind her. And he's just like, Hey,
what are you doing?
do you mind that I'm like right behind you right now? Is that cool with
Yeah,
you?
yeah, they have laws for that now.
Yeah.
But that was a Me Too dream sequence. But there were other things that I thought were a little bit out of place. That was one of them. That was, I mean, a bold one. I didn't think it necessarily fit with the story.
Okay.
They could have had them kind of hook up if they wanted to have them, if they were trying to make an unannounced attraction between the two. But I didn't necessarily think it needed to be involved with the orb. But setting aside my own criticism of that, I actually did not like the opening scene where in the beginning everybody was coming to say bye to Kira's character. And the only reason I feel that way is because I don't feel like
That
the
did feel a
chem-
little that kind of felt a little like a sitcom,
it was
It
sitcom-y.
seemed a little
Yeah,
overwritten there, yeah.
yeah, eight people walking in on a room.
Oh, hey, you too?
Hey,
I
another
was just
one,
in the
another
neighborhood.
one. Yeah, and I brought some glasses of wine. And oh, okay, I'm here too. And the reason why I thought that was weird is because I didn't feel so far now, up to this point, that there was that kind of camaraderie between all of them.
Mm,
I didn't feel like they earned that level of relationship. Now, if that happened at the end of the 7 seasons or season 6, then I would say, okay, we've got 6 seasons of them building up this friendship. You've got all these moments between everybody, and this is something you want to say goodbye. But I think it was too many people in that room. I think that scene could have been just her and Renee
yeah.
just talking, the two of them, without having the extra.
Speaking of which, there was a really good line that Renee did, where she said, he said, you've made a living off breaking the rules. And she said, well, maybe I broke one too many. And he says, Major, you've been breaking one too many rules for 14 and a half years. Harumph.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
It
hey,
was it
that's
was a
awesome.
little, yeah, and it was funny because that scene sounded sitcom-y. Actually, it sounded more theater-ish. It looked like a
Mhm.
stage play. The way that scene felt
Mhm.
a little bit too over dramatic in some ways. Because and then it goes right back to the quiet, talking normal way that we've set the tone for the show all this time. So, except for that scene was really high paced, almost like when they were in the newsroom on Far Beyond the Stars.
Mm.
Uh, in the period piece, the dialogue felt like that. You know, um, there was another thing that I liked. Since you mentioned the Odo Kira interaction in that scene, the same one that you just quoted from, where he says something to the effect of, "You came in tough, and I've been breaking you in." And then she laughs and says, "I thought I've been breaking you in," or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
So they were both kind of mentioning that they were trying to have the one-up relationship on each other, which I thought was great. Um, but we saw Odo as a rat. What about that?
Yeah, let's go back a little at the beginning here. I did want to talk about just for a second. This was the first time we got a little glimpse. At the very beginning, we get a glimpse of Commander Sisko being a little bit more brooding, a little bit, like in season 1, they kind of had him more as like a lighter kind of commander, and we all know that the direction he goes is more brooding and quiet and tough. And we saw a little bit more of that in the beginning when Kira's leaving, and he just kind of says, I'll get you back, and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was cool that was kind of, at least to me, that was that first time we got to see a little foreshadowing of the Sisko that's going to show up in another season or two.
Yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing, and there was another moment where Cisco goes into the Bajoran general to give him information,
Uh-huh.
and the general says, "You could have easily bargained that information to get Kira back on your station, but you didn't." And he says, "I would never do that," and kind of walks away. Um, So you're getting a serious, more
Mm-hmm.
a more abrasive version of Sisko right now. He's starting to really flex his muscles a little bit
Which
and
is
be
cool.
left,
It's good to
which was
see.
great.
It's good to see that that's how the second season's starting. Like they already started kind of adjusting, starting in the beginning of the second season, and then we also,
I think they take a big risk, by the way, Ryan, with
yeah,
this 3-part episode.
absolutely.
I have a, I don't know. It's just I feel like I don't have the end of the story, because we don't have the end of the story
Yeah.
as of right now. So it's hard to see where they're going with it and what it's going to be, and so it's almost too much of a. I think a 3-parter is too much. I don't mind a
Well,
2-parter, but I think,
and you're right. It is a risk, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Deep Space Nine was for 7 years. Was a risk. You
we're
know,
just rolling the dice. Yeah,
they went with the commander instead of a captain. They went with a
yeah.
station instead of a ship. You know, they went with a little bit more serialized. I mean, so they were taking risks from the beginning. And you're right, this is one of them where they're like, episode 1 of season 2, they're like, let's try something new. Let's see what we can do here. You know, I think it's cool that they were at least afforded, you know, that to where they said, you can be as creative as you want to be. You can take risks. You can try stuff out. Maybe some of it didn't work. We'll see. I think it's working okay so far. I mean, I wasn't terribly interested in Bajoran politics, you know. Now I don't mind it as much. Now I'm like, okay, it's pretty interesting. It's the kind of thing where as a writer, you have to be careful because in your mind, it's way more interesting. The world that you're creating is so fascinating. You're like, oh, and they'll have this and there's this and that. But it's you have to be careful because other people might not think it's as interesting. So far, I think they're doing a great job with it, of course. I remember back in the day, the first couple seasons didn't do much for me. But this one's working out okay. We'll see. You're right. We'll find out next episode. We'll see if it actually works out or if it missed a little bit.